Chapter 1. Chapter 1. Stand. You are listening at FameTV.info. Damn it, just a little bit more, just a little bit more, one man cursed as his vision started to get blurry. He was holding a phone, and looking up, watching some anime fight clip online. Earlier, as he had been driving, the car had flipped in the air and got crushed down. Since the window had been opened, half of his body had got out through it, before the car crushed down and stopped. His lower half was still inside of it. He couldn't feel his lower half, the only thing he could feel was his blood leaving. He was alone now, and he had known that he would die soon. He would rather that than living with half part. And he knew that his little brother wasn't included in the living half. Even with help nearby him, he knew that he won't make it. Knowing that he was about to die, he had thought about something and made his decision. Luckily, his phone didn't break. All he had been watching was the last fight in the third part of an anime that he had been watching. JJBA. Dio vs Jotaro, the OVA version. On the screen, Dio had landed an oil trunk on Jotaro, who froze time and surprised Dio. Now that Dio blinded his foe with his blood, the two of them exchanged a kick and a fist that clashed with each other. Damn it, however, he couldn't see further as the blackness took over his vision. The phone dropped, and he couldn't even hear the sounds. Come on, I can't die on a cliffhanger like that. Let me know who had won at least. And so, he died on one of the most thrilling cliffhangers. That was his only regret, that he didn't know who won, the world, or Star Platinum. Most of the people would usually be happy when they know that God had taken mercy on them and replied to their strong desire for living. That was Lee's first thought. He didn't know why, but when he died, he found himself as a baby sucking tits of a pretty blonde woman. He didn't know what is going on, but that N.I.P.P.L.E didn't leave his mouth. Soon he realized it, as the milk was over. He was reborn and as a baby. But unfortunately, fate wasn't as merciful as he thought. As Lee grew up, he noticed that the people of this world, 80% of them, has an ability called quirk. Some people can fly, some can turn to shadow, and some can even turn into giants, and some can shoot lightning and fire. There was even that person with the strongest quirk, the hero people all look at, All Might. Lee was so excited to know about his quirk. Would this life be better than before? He was sure of that. However, his hopes were hit by the wall when his mom took him to the doctor. Sorry, your kid doesn't have a quirk. Lee had a disappointed look on his face when he heard the doctor. Sure, he shouldn't ask for more. He was gifted with a new life, why would he ask for more? He should be happy. Are you sure? Both I and his father are heroes. I only came to Japan so he may learn the culture here. His mom, a tall blonde with green eyes, a body of a model more than a mother, said as she held the doctor from his collar. Sorry, there is nothing that I can do. The doctor shook his head as he pointed to the scans of Lee's foot. People who had a normal little finger bone didn't have quirks. That was a well-known fact. Lee's mom, Julia, looked at her son and made a smile. She bent down, wrapped her arm around his waist, and hugged him to her chest. It is okay, baby, your mommy is here, and you don't need a quirk. If one messes with you, call me, and I'll beat them for you, my little boy. Give me a break, Lee said, feeling the softness crushing his small chest. I don't want to be a hero anyway. Julia looked at Lee and knew that he was lying. The kid had collected comic books and started reading from an early age. She knew that he was genius for being able to read at 3. He must be saying that for her so she wouldn't worry. That made her hug him with more strength. Lee just let a sigh and rested his head on his mom's chest. He was 4 years old physically, but in the soul, he was 20 years old. Yes, he had died when he was 16 years old when he had sneakily taken his father's car. He knew how to appreciate good things. Even if it came from his mom. Well, living again as a kid isn't bad. Lee lifted his head and thought about it. At least, his mother used to take him to the women's bath and he was able to enjoy the view. Not to mention, many changed their clothes in front of him without them noticing. "It's okay, Mom," Lee said, no expression on his face. "I have lived all the life I wanted to live. Thank you, you can't let yourself worry more." Even the doctor this time took a step back. He didn't believe such words to come out from a kid. Wah, Julia started to cry. These words, only a man who was done with life would say them. "Come on, I'll buy you an iced cream. Vanilla with chocolate." Lee's eyes lit up as he stood up. And thus, his new life started as someone growing up. X. Today I became 15 years old. Happy birthday to me. Only one more year and I reach my real age, which I died at. I'm still a teenager at heart and I felt excited to go beyond that age. I wore my black jacket, pants, and went down to my apartment. Ever since my mom left for her home country, to do a heroic job before coming back in the summer, I was living alone. She was still calling me every while to check me. That woman, I miss her a lot. I spent 15 years with her. The reason I had to stay here was because, as a hero from Europe, my mom was wearing a mask and had a lot of enemies. So she needed me to stay in Japan, as I'm a quirkless person. Still, I don't know who my father is. But I didn't care. I would prefer not to live and get hugged by a man during my growing period. Not to make her worry, I act somehow cold and tell her that everything is fine, and I'm not in good mood. That's all. She would just laugh and say she would come back. Anyway, long story short, I was grateful for the life I had. I mean, I'll probably live for more 80 years, so it wasn't a bad deal to be one of the people who didn't have a quirk. Although there were some bullies in school, I could always manage myself. Despite them having a quirk, if I punched them hard on the face before they know it, they can't do anything when they are unconscious. Walking down the street, I realized that I had to buy some stuff, comics, and some food since my fridge was empty. It wasn't hard to live alone as I used in my previous life. I was now inside the store, buying some food for myself and cooking ingredients. I was touring between the shelves and looking through the dates. It wasn't crowded here, so I had my comfort. Besides, I have nothing else to do, so I just took my time. What a life, I thought, thinking about all of those crazy villains, those inspiring heroes like All Might. And I would go to high school soon. Bang! I heard the voice of a group of people entering the store, violently. CHLCK. I heard another sound, like a shotgun being loaded. I turned my head and saw a group of people, wearing black masks, entering inside with weapons in their hands. Thieves, and armed above that. Hand all of the money if you want to live. One of them went to the store owner, who happened to be a short bald man with no ability at all. I knew the old guy as I was his client for the last years. Also, I noticed that they hadn't noticed me. Using the shelves as a cover, I knew that I have to call the cops, so they can come, or a hero can come and deal with those sc.u.ms. Picking up my phone, I typed the police's number. CLNG. Suddenly, I stopped typing as I felt something approaching my head, threatening to erase me from existence, again. You better not press that call button. I heard a voice and turned my head. He was a man, standing about my height, 180 centimeters. And he was aiming that gun at my face. My heart was beating faster. I knew that I have to do something, especially the moment I saw the snake tattoo at the man's neck. I also noticed that he would know that I saw that. Which eventually meant, he realizes that I can give that one small detail to the cops. I reacted like I haven't seen his reaction and followed his instruction. Now boy, hand the phone. He said, extending his hand. I did as he told me. I lowered the phone and gave it to him slowly. The moment he tried to grab it, my other hand moved quickly and held his wrist, grabbing it with strength. I was strong enough for that. Ever since I knew I was quirkless, I spent time at the gym so that I can knock out any arrogant kid, and I ended up with an ADU.L.T strength. Before the thief realizes it, I gave him a strong headbutt on his head, breaking his nose on the spot. But unfortunately for me, his fall grabbed an unwanted attention. You! I heard an angry voice behind me and I turned. I saw another masked man, aiming his shotgun at me, loaded and ready. At that moment, I knew I was F. U.C.K.IED up. I saw it clearly, how everything was moving at slow motion, how his finger was pulling the trigger. I knew he would shot and there is nothing for me to do. My life was about flash in my head, if I had enough time for that, of course. Bang! I heard the loud dooming sound hitting around my ear. The flash of light, I saw it. Ha! Ha! Breathing heavily, I didn't know why I'm still breathing. I could feel the cold sweat running down my face and my back. But I couldn't feel that I'm dead or saw myself sucking new N. I.P.P.L.es, nor blood was leaving me. I glanced in front of me, to see that there was a hand. Between its fingers, there were 2 bullets. A purple hand with a fighter glove and it was holding the bullet like it was nothing. I looked down to see from where it came. I thought that some hero saved me, but to my surprise, it came from my chest, and it seemed to be faint like a ghost. Don't tell me. Am I dreaming? I then looked at the man. How did you stop the bullet in the air? Do you have a barrier quirk? His daze and his questions made me realize it. The thief couldn't see that hand. But I could. I was now almost sure, this is stand, if I'm not wrong. In the moment of my daze, the thief loaded his gun again and shot at me. The hand suddenly moved in blinding speed and caught the bullets in the middle of the air. I was certain that the man would see them stopped in the middle of the air. Like how Neo did in the Matrix movie. Looking at the arm, I felt some connection, a spiritual connection between me and it. I felt that wasn't all, it was waiting for me to call it. I knew that as I felt that I can give it commands, mental commands. Taking a step forward, I made the hand fly out of my body and hit the man through his nose. Like I thought, it could move 3 meters away from my body. The result was amazing as he flew back and broke several bookshelves before stopping once he hit the wall. The wall cracked and he fell unconscious. Now my cover was destroyed and I could see about 3 people, taking the money from the old man, who looked to be afraid. Be careful. He looks like he has a strong quirk. But he is just a kid. Doesn't matter, shoot him, pick our stuff, or we go to jail. Yes, the last thing we need is someone wanting to play the hero. All of them aimed their weapons at me and started to shoot. Many bullets flew at me at the same time. I'll admit, I felt scared like a little bitch would do when she has her first job. I only got the stand not long time ago and I still haven't built that self-confidence yet. I only extended my hand forward. Aura. I heard a strong yell, and only I heard it. A tall humanoid purple man appeared in front of me. Even though I was tall, I couldn't be compared to him. He was more than 2 meters, muscled, have purple skin, blue eyes, and long floating black hair. Star Platinum. I didn't believe my eyes first, but hearing the aura, I was certain, shocked, and didn't know how to react. This was one of the best stands. They are called stands because they stand next to their owner, as they came from his life force. Star Platinum wasn't not only crazily strong enough to break giant diamond artifacts into pieces, but it's very fast, very precise, and even at some stage, it can. The bullets, which flew at me, were all caught between Star Platinum's hands, before falling to the ground. Monster, one of the thieves mentioned as he looked at me. At this moment, I didn't know if I was dreaming or not. But if this was a dream, I won't be satisfied to wake up until I kick these guys. Making a deep frown, I glared at them, my blue eyes at them, stepping forward. Shoot him again, his barrier won't hold. It was useless as they shot me. Star Platinum's fist was much faster and more precise. Catching all the bullets, I stood 3 meters away from them. I lowered my hand and the bullets fell. I could see then the shock in their faces. Before anyone could do a reaction, I commanded the stand to punch them 1 punch each. Usually, the original owner of this stand would hold back the punches, as they were enough to make holes in a vampire body, to punish his opponent. I had no intention of that. Giving them 1 punch each, they flew toward the wall. One of them had his face getting broken, with the print of a fist on his head, and the other had his ribs broken. Okay, maybe I've overdone it. Lee, the store owner, looked at me with a daze. I thought you were quirkless. What was that? I don't know, did you see anything? I asked back. This isn't a quirk, I think. All I saw was the bullet stopping next to you. I was certain that this was the stand. No one could see it. Now, knowing that I wasn't totally powerless in this world, I knew that my plans may change. With a mental command, Star Platinum came back to my body. And no one saw that. Well, I guess I couldn't see it all the time, too. Very soon, we heard the police cars coming here. The officer, who happened to have a dog head, arrested them and gently asked me and the owner of the store to come to the police station. Listen to the full novel at FameTV.info, direct link in the description.